Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming to our regular council meeting and municipal planning meeting. I'll start off by confirming that the municipal clerk is present and all members of council are here as well. Our territorial land acknowledgement, we respectively acknowledge the township of Allen is located on the Mississaugan Anishinaabe territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississaugan and Anishinaabe. The township of Allen respectively acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain the responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Next, we're going to move on to the agenda, and we're going to jump to the second recommendation on there, and that is that the procedural bylaw provisions be waived to permit time-sensitive report, and that is HR 202506, Finance Department temporary support staff as an addendum to the October 28, 2025 meeting agenda. Can I get a mover and a second? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any questions? All in favor? Motion is carried. And the second one is that the agenda for the municipal planning regular council meeting held on October 28, 2025 be approved as amended. Mover and a second. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth. Need a seconder? Oh, there you go. Thank you, Councillor Booth. Any just further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Number 4, are there any pecuniary interests or general nature thereof, both direct and indirect? Deputy Mayor Stover.
Through you, Mayor Lovell, I have a pecuniary interest to declare. It has to do with items 9.1 and specifically the new Danforth subdivision. The reason for the declaration is the close proximity of the subdivision to my home. Thank you.
Thank you. That'll be duly noted. Moving on, next one is a public hearing, and I need a motion to go into a public hearing. It is recommended that council of the Corporation of Township of Allen enact as follows. That council go into a public meeting under section 34 of the Planning Act at 9:32 a.m. on October 28, 2025. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any discussions? All in favor? That's carried. And our first item is item 7.2, is application by Cornier Farms Limited. Please go ahead.
Good morning. The application has been submitted by Corsair Farms for 10846 County Road 2. It's at the northwest corner of Aird Street and County Road 2. And the purpose of the application is to change the zoning from hamlet residential to a hamlet commercial exception zone. The application maintains the intent of the official plan and is consistent with the provincial planning statement. And it is recommended that the application be approved. This is a public meeting, and I do believe the applicant's agent will be joining online, as others may also be online to participate. If there's any questions, I am available. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll just wait till the applicant or representative comes on. Is there any public comments while we're waiting for this? Regarding this application, are there any comments? From the floor, seeing none. Okay, we have the applicant on video, or at least on able to talk with them. Would you like to state your name, please, and your, any comments that you have? Okay. Yeah, I believe it's Kate and Marnie. It looks like your video, pardon me, your audio is shut off. Can you please take a look at that?
Hello, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Thank you. Good morning, members of council. My name is Marnie Saunders. I am a senior planner at DM Wills, and I am the applicant representing the owner on this application. The application is a proposed zoning bylaw amendment located at 10846 County Road 2 in the hamlet of Grafton. The subject property contains an existing single detached dwelling. It is currently zoned for residential, and we are proposing to rezone the subject property to hamlet commercial. The purpose of the rezoning is to permit a variety of commercial uses within the existing dwelling. There's no proposed site alteration or alterations to the building as part of this application. The proposed uses will operate within the existing structure. There's an existing driveway that provides access to the property off County Road 2, which will continue to provide access for the proposed uses. The subject property is serviced by a private individual well. And there is some additional relief requested through the bylaw related to some setbacks due to the existing conditions of the location of the existing structure. So we've incorporated that into the relief that we're requesting. So we're requesting a site-specific hamlet commercial zone for that reason, which will also limit some of the proposed commercial uses to those uses that would be appropriate within that existing structure. If there is any questions from members of the public or council, I would be happy to answer those now. But that essentially summarizes the proposed rezoning we have before you today.
Thank you, Marina. Is there any questions from members of council? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Lobo, to Marnie. Did you, just clarification, did you just say that there was a private well on this property?
No, it's serviced by private septic.
Oh, okay. I thought you said private well, and then I said, because I thought I read that it was municipal water on there. So thank you. That's all I had.
No problem.
Thank you for clarifying that. Does members of the public have any questions or comments regarding this application? Yes, sir.
What's the nature of the commercial enterprise that's going to be scheduled?
You need to come forward, please, sir. State your name.
Simon Schneider. What's the nature of the commercial enterprise that's contemplated for this property?
Through the chair, the proposed commercial uses that We are requesting to be permitted include a bakery, a day nursery, an eating establishment, or in other words, a restaurant, a retail commercial establishment, a service shop. So that could be like a seamstress or one of those personal services, and then also a medical or dental clinic.
Medical, so what is that last part?
A medical or dental clinic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Does anyone, other members of the public have any questions? How about, is there any members of the public that are online that wish to make a comment on this application? No, I don't believe there is any, so we'll move on. We'll move on to the next item. Thank you. Now we're going to motion to reconvene back to a municipal planning / regular council meeting. And that the council of the township of Alma-Culloden reconvene to the municipal planning regular council meeting at 9:40 a.m. If I get a mover or seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any other discussions? All in favor? That's carried. Next we have planning delegations. And we have written delegation from Simon Schneiderman and Britt Cole regarding the Hamlet of Grafton new development. Mr. Schneider and Ms. Cole, please come forward. Thank you for coming, and you both, well, Ms. Cole, you definitely recognize that there's a time limit on this, and I'll just mention that to Mr. Steimer.
I'm gonna be speedy.
So you know there's a 10-minute limit on your delegation, plus another 5 minutes for questions.
I understand that, thank you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, Mayor Lobo, council, staff, and members of the public. Thank you for allowing us to appear before council today. We are not here to oppose the new Danforth proposed plan of subdivision, and we are not here to oppose the proposed entrance as shown on the draft plan of subdivision for use by residents once the development of the subdivision is completed. What we are most concerned about is that the construction route has not been defined. If construction traffic is proposed to follow assumed hamlet roads to access the construction site, there will be significant negative impacts on safety in school zones and quality of life for existing residents in and around the core of the hamlet. There are numerous heritage buildings and residences in the hamlet core dating back to the 1800s, also deserving of being protected, including our historic town hall, as set out in the township's official plan. Next slide, please. The official plan covers a planning period for 20 years, from 2014 to 2034. The official plan directs and guides land use throughout the township. The OP states that the vitality and regeneration of hamlets shall be promoted. Regeneration of the historic hamlet involves revitalizing the area by integrating its historic character with modern needs, rather than simply replacing it with new development. Regeneration includes renewing physical structures, etc. It's a comprehensive approach that sees historic buildings not just as relics, but as assets for the future. The official plan directs new development according to need and demand. The county's growth plan is projecting population growth for Alma-Culloden to reach 1,300 by 2051, an average of 50 residents per year. The total population of Alma-Culloden is approximately 7,400. The hamlet of Grafton is around 1,000, and it took 227 years to get there. The present and proposed developments will increase the population of Grafton by more than 50%. That's not necessarily a bad thing, as housing is needed, so by all means. The official plan states any new development that requires excessively expensive infrastructure or public services shall not be permitted. This is to protect the township for growth beyond what is feasible or sustainable in the long term. Grafton does need a community plan to ensure controlled growth. The official plan provides for access routes for main roads for new development behind existing development. Unopened road allowances could be upgraded to allow for construction routes that direct construction traffic away from the core of the hamlet. If the use of Old Danforth Road is proposed to be used as the construction route, the intersection of Old Danforth Road, St. Andrews Drive, and Station Road is the main intersection for the local schools and will pose major safety risks to pedestrians and vehicles alike, especially given the poor sightlines. Next slide, please. Now, don't try and read this slide. It's just, I'll explain. It's here just to show that this was a clause added to the subdivision agreement. Precedent has already been set to prohibit construction vehicles from using Old Danforth Road, Station Road as recent as 2015 for the Glens of Antrim subdivision. The plan of subdivision shows 45 or 46 lots, of which 40 have been built, meaning there may be 5 or 6 still to be built. This slide shows the clause that was added to the subdivision agreement. All construction traffic will be limited to access onto Brimley Road and shall not use Old Danforth Station Road. Nothing has changed since then. Safety in and around school zones and main intersections is still a major concern. It is logical, in keeping with the precedent set, that this requirement would automatically direct any new development construction to alternate routes, and is still in effect. Next slide, please. This is just to show the plan of subdivision that's been submitted by Fidelity. So it's going to have 66 homes in it. And if you look at the bottom portion of the diagram underneath where the environmentally protected section is, that's going to be 29 homes in phase 1 to be built first. The frontage of that property is totally on the unopened road allowance of Old Danforth Road. Next slide, please. To better understand how the proposed subdivision is located with respect to hamlet and existing development, this slide shows the parcel of land where 66 homes are proposed, as well as the parcel of land for future development of 55 homes, pending boundary expansion integration into the county's OP, and subsequently the OP for Alma-Calderman. So if you look at the map, you'll see the new Danforth, 66 single detached homes. And then if you look just to the east of that, at the south end, that is a parcel of land that is pending a boundary expansion approval, and sounds like it's go ahead, just as the one to the west of Grafton is a go ahead. Both of those parcels of land have no other access anywhere except from the unopened road allowance. So, you know, that's where the frontage of those properties are, because the access has been denied to County Road 2. Which brings us to the question of what is the best planning route for construction traffic. Next slide, please. Now, this is just something I kind of drew a yellow line on. So this just shows that if construction vehicles came along Highway 2, and they could come from Colburn, and they could come across Old Orchard Road and pick up one of our arteries down to Highway 2 and access there, and then come along Benlock. As you can see, Benlock's a short, not too long of a distance compared to Old Danforth Road. And then there's already a portion of the unopened road allowance that's been developed. So the key would be to finish developing that unopened road allowance, at least to the ability to handle construction traffic, to access the sites, and also plans for future development. So we're not just doing things haphazardly. Okay, using this route eliminates construction traffic coming south from 401 on Lyle Street into the center of the hamlet. No need to worry about safety issues for school zones, quality of life for existing residents, and protects the historic core of the hamlet of Grafton. It eliminates so many issues. Next slide, please. At this point, I'll turn it over to Simon Schneider.
The senior planner has specified that construction routes are to be directed away from the community safety zone in Grafton, proximate to the school. Benlock Road is only to be considered for construction traffic, she writes, once the additional lands fronting the URA are added to Grafton Hamlet and technical reviews are undertaken of the URA. We say there's no safe route through Grafton for the volume of construction trucks required for a development of this scale, particularly given the precedent established for Glens of Antrim construction. Between the Catholic school, the Grafton Public School, and Early Childhood Center, there are perhaps 300 to 350 school children in Grafton close to Old Danforth Road. Those children are walking in Old Danforth on their way to school in the morning, walking to and from their schools on class outings, or to and from the food outlet at Highway 2 in Old Danforth during lunch. There are no traffic lights at Highway 2 in Old Danforth. So where these children are crossing at Highway 2, the construction trucks turning into Old Danforth from Highway 2 will be uncontrolled. The disregarding Benlock Road as an access route only leaves two access routes to consider to the development site. One is along Purdy going north to Old Danforth. The other is downhill on Old Danforth from the intersection of Station Road and Old Danforth. Those final stretches of Purdy and Old Danforth do not have sidewalks, but they do have pedestrians from the homes lining both sides of the road and people walking their dogs. In light of these facts, no construction route could possibly be safer than Benlock and onto the improved URA to the development site. It is suggested that the scope of the senior planner be expanded to recommend consideration of URA for construction traffic access, and that you consider inserting a condition for the construction route to be added to the township report to provide access to the construction site via Benlock Road and an improved Old Danforth unopened road allowance. The reality is that construction trucks rumbling through Grafton will be an accident waiting to happen. When that accident happens,
1 minute, sir.
what will your liability insurers say when they hear you could have directed a safe route for the construction trucks and chose not to? In closing, we can and should step up to protect our rural township as a whole and the historic hamlet of Grafton. It is incumbent upon this council and any future council to ensure that new development adheres to the direction and guidance of the official plan, directing construction routes away from the hamlet core and school zones protects everyone. The Old Danforth URA already exists for planning and development, so why not use it? Thank you, council, for your consideration of our delegation. We would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you both, and you beat it by 21 seconds. It was very well done too, so I appreciate your taking the time to present that to us. Members of council, do you have any questions regarding this? Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
Through you, your worship. Just some clarifications, or maybe you could explain. I heard you say at the start, I listened to you and you stated that the subject property fronts to the unopened road allowance.
Correct.
Can you show me that on the map?
Yeah, if we could go back to slide. Okay, you can use this one's perfect. So those two parcels of land right now that are proposed for development, one pending the boundary expansion, of course. They have no access points to those properties. There are no roads anywhere. So for all intents and purposes, unless they're using the unopened road allowance, they're landlocked. And there was supposed to be a road coming off of County Road 2, but that was taken out in the third submission, which is why we came forward again with this delegation, because that would have kept the traffic out of the hamlet itself. So, and through the school zones, because they could have come in through there, but that's too steep of a slope. It's too much of a headache, and it's, according to the county and the traffic study, it's not safe to have them there. So based on this, their access to their properties there, to me, makes sense that it would be via an unopened road allowance. I'm not a planner, but that makes sense to me, because that's why we have unopened road allowances, I think, to aid in future development.
Thank you. Go ahead, Greg, if you have
Just two more. And you mentioned the Glens of Antrim, so I'm interested in that. I believe there was 46 properties for the Glens of Antrim. What date did that start, the Glens of Antrim?
It started somewhere around 2015, I believe, or
So we're looking at
17.
So almost 10 years, and I believe you said there's still 4 or 5 lots left.
Yeah, typically the growth in the hamlet of Grafton is slow, and so subdivisions tend to move slowly. I know where we live, there was 55 lots, and the last lot only sold after 26 years. So, and even the one that's up at the top of the hill right now, Grafton Heights, That's moving quite slowly as
But the
well.
rate of progress on the Glens of Antrim doesn't ensure that the same rate of progress will be characteristic of the new Danforth development.
Right.
I guess, and you make a good point there. If we're looking at 66 homes, depending on the economy and how fast they sell, but if anybody thinks it's gonna be in a year, I don't think so. And you make some very good points that I can't see that for 10, 15, or 20 years, we're gonna allow construction stuff right down the center of the township, right? And especially when you mentioned there's 300 to 350 school children, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. It's just rolling the dice. So thank you for your presentation.
Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor. So this has also been a concern of mine for this development. You know, back when they first started, there was, on one of the, in the report for the development coming later, there was Street A was up between, pretty much at the crest of the hill for an entrance coming in there, up Highway 2. So I kind of also agree with the Yellowstone Road that's been brought up a few times. And, the other thing that we probably haven't looked at is from right across from Cherry Hill, there's an old road allowance that used to be there. And I'm not sure who owns it at this point, but I just wonder if there's an avenue there that, you know, can a piece of that property be bought to come in off there? Because I know the top of the hill was a bit of a knoll and it was just poor line sight. But across from Cherry Hill Road, that old road allowance is there, that's maybe split the properties of the two that have that. Could that be, looked at also? Then, you know, whether it could be a road put in, it could be bought, it could be rented for the time that the site's going on, and maybe put back when it's all done. So I mean, there's another option also there.
Thank you.
Thanks for your presentation also.
So I have a couple of questions. What do you think? No. What is those greens?
Okay, so that's a very good point, because that was to measure how long that unopened road allowance is.
Okay,
And so it's approximately 1 kilometer.
okay.
So 1 kilometer to build up to accept construction vehicles.
The other thing, you made reference to it, Ms. Cole, and I'll ask the, Tracy to confirm that. But that, pending boundary expansion, that is not part of the Hamlet as of right now. is it?
That's why it's a boundary expansion, because the end of the property for new, I'm sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
The delegations, Francie.
Oh, okay, well, I believe that the property line or the boundary line is really that new Danforth boundary line, and then that property at the south end. I don't know about the piece north of it, but I'm guessing if the south end gets developed, the north one would probably go too, but
Thank you.
that, yeah.
Does anybody else have any further questions? I'm gonna have to call time for, we've gone past the time, so if we want to go any further, I need, the motion to continue on for the next 5 minutes. Go ahead, Councillor Booth, pardon, Councillor Ainsworth, you making a motion?
I make that motion.
Do you second or, no, second by Councillor O'Neill. Councillor O'Neill, you had your hand up.
Yes, and mine is more an observation, but it ties in with the presentation we just received. So we have already identified the area around St. Mary's School there where Old Danforth meet as an area of safety concern. And to add to an area that we're already concerned about the safety, to add construction vehicles doesn't seem, we shouldn't be considering that. It's already a concern with that construction vehicle. That's my main observation on it.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
To you, Mayor, so just maybe a question for clarity. If we were to use that unassumed road or the old road allowance that used to be there that I talked about, would that be a developer that have to put those together, or would the township have to fix that up?
My understanding is that the township would be responsible for that.
Okay, thank you.
May I address that?
Yes.
I think one of the considerations that council has to address is exactly that investigation of the URA, whether in fact that shouldn't be a cost shared with the developer as a condition of allowing the application. Because to burden the community with the investigation of a specific access route to the construction site without input from the developer, gives the developer the benefit of our technical investigation without any contribution on their part. If they want to use that site and the site has potential access to the URA, they should be paying part of the cost of that investigation.
Thank you. Anybody else have any thoughts? Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
Through you, your worship, I'm just wondering whether our manager of the Public Works, who I see sitting in the back there, would have any comment of the Benlock Road unopened, or coming in through the unopened road allowance there. Is there a certain standard that it would have to be for just construction vehicles? I'm sure you don't care if it's a pickup truck from the construction vehicle, if they're using Old Dance Road, which is just normal traffic. But if we're talking construction vehicles and heavy duty equipment, and I think especially when you're talking about loads of dirt coming in and out, I'm just wondering, Stefan, is there a certain specification that road would have to be brought up to? Obviously not paved or that, but.
I think that's a great question, Councilor Booth, and I'm going to ask that we refer to when the presentation from our,
Okay, thank you.
Staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir, this is not a public meeting. But that's not part of the delegation.
And Tracy, is there one to bring it up?
That will be coming up, when Casey makes her presentation. Or it could come up, I shouldn't say it will.
As long as it's mentioned, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I need a motion to approve the, delegation from Mr. Schneiderman and Ms. Cole regarding preserving the historic hamlet of Grafton for information. Mover and second. Moved by Councilor Booth, second by Councilor Ainsworth. Further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. And our next one report is from, regarding the New Danforth subdivision, 285-29459, Ontario Incorporated Fidelity Homes. And Ms. Webster's going to make her presentation, and we also have members of the County Planning Department, Mr. Ashley Deerwood, and Miss Ashley. Oh, that's Ashley over there. Okay. I'm not sure. I don't have your name.
Carolyn Ross.
Pardon me?
Carolyn Ross from RFA Consulting.
Karen. Thank you.
Carolyn.
Carolyn, okay. Go ahead, Madam Platter.
Good morning, thank you. Since the writing of the report, I've received 2 additional submissions for council's consideration. So since they weren't addressed in the report, I am going to read them out. We received the first, sorry, my email is a little frozen here. The first submission states there's 3 concerns. The intersection of Benlock Road and County Road 2 is dangerous. This is not the first time it has been brought up by council when trying to make a left from Benlock onto County Road 2. The view is restricted by a curve. When going east, cars are accelerating out of Grafton, and as you come around the curve, you have the intersection. I've personally had a few close calls when making a left and have had to step on the gas to get out of the way. I can't imagine a truck trying to make that maneuver. Although Benlock Road appears as quiet country road, it is hardly so. We have a lot of traffic coming from and to the Coburg East campground with about 150 sites. It's like having a subdivision already. In fact, worse, because we also have the weekend traffic from trucks and trailers moving in and out. We do not need any additional traffic on Benlock. And the third point is that Benlock is now a residential street with young families and children. You are already aware that I'm working on reducing the speed limit to 50 kilometers per hour. We have young children either waiting or walking to school buses. Construction traffic will make the road unsafe. And that's the first email, and I will read out the second email received. The intersection of Benlock and County Road 2 is dangerous intersection with limited visibility from the east on Highway 2. The intersecting road of Shelter Valley Road is also busy. Highway 2 is not designed as an EDR, is not designated as an EDR for the 401, but GPS systems send people on Highway 2. You can designate something an EDR all you want, but GPS systems are what people use. In the summertime, it is near impossible to turn west onto Highway 2 from Benlock Road, Calnan Road, and in the trailers from the campground trying to get out. It's just simply a mess. Driving on Benlock Old Danforth Road is a hidden intersection. Our children have to walk to the bus stop, which is at the corner of Benlock and Beecham or Beauchamp. The high speed on Benlock combined with the curve in the road and vegetation growth overtaking the shoulder makes it a dangerous walk for them. Overall, our family is opposed to all of the recent large-scale residential development projects in Grafton. We live here because it is rural, not because we wanted a subdivision. We enjoy the quiet, we enjoy the nature, which includes the family of deer and the field behind our house. We like the taste of our well water, we love the sunsets, we love washing fish in the creek. Has the added strain on resources been taken into account for the new subdivision? Our children already sit 3 to a seat on the bus. There's a shortage of bus drivers. Our children go to school where there are already portables to accommodate numbers. What about the increased traffic at the corner of Lyle and 2? People mean more than cars. The intersection is a busy one. And that's the submissions. The report is quite detailed and there's a number of conditions that address a number of the concerns that have been heard. If there's any questions, I can take questions, and if they're related to the county or the development proposal, the Carolyn Ross for RFA representing the developer may be able to answer some of those questions, as well as Ashley Yearwood from the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. I have a couple of questions. I'll start it off. You mentioned stage 4 archaeological assessment. First of all, what's the difference between a 3 and 4 versus a 2?
Like the stage 1 is typically like a background research of the historical documentation. The stage 2 is groundwork typically, where they'll dig at a certain interval level, and if they uncover resources, that then triggers the need for the stage 3 and 4. So stage 3 archaeological assessments were done on 2 sites that were identified during the stage 2. They're I believe they were 19th century resources primarily. So they were flagged as having cultural heritage significance. So that then triggers the stage 4. And the stage 4 would be either removing the resources for protection or providing for those resources to remain and protected away from development. So that work will need to be done and is secured for condition through the conditions.
Thank you. I have one more regarding the roads inside the subdivision. The Glens of Antrim subdivision, the roads are an extra, I'm gonna guess, about 6 feet wider than what they normally would be. And they were put in for sidewalk purposes instead of having separate sidewalks. And the reason at the time council wanted that was because of the cost to maintain those sidewalks in the winter. Although I don't believe there's a policy, in fact, lots of municipalities don't offer that service, but we historically have done that in our township. So could that be done?
So to answer your question, the roads are designed to have a 20-meter width. So that would be wide enough to provide for a typical street with a boulevard area. And they're typically, like the Grafton Heights and the Glens of Antrim will have a wider boulevard on one side to accommodate a pedestrian walkway in the form of a additional paved shoulder, and there'd be line painting to identify that. We have asked for a condition to include sidewalk along the east side of Old Danforth Road, because that was identified in the traffic safety study that was done. And that was a recommendation number 4, I believe. That would be the road that would go up to St. Mary's School. So we've asked for that condition in this development, and the one that is neighboring this development, the Hamlin Estates. So they'll have to, through their detailed design work, show a sidewalk along Old Danforth Road.
Thank you. Members of council, do you have any questions regarding the application? Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
I want to start by thanking, all 3 of you who have done this in such a cooperative and transparent manner, and to have a series of meetings to keep us involved. I really appreciate that. I'm sure the public appreciates that. My question perhaps is more to our CAO than to our presenters, but the issue of road safety from number 2 is a recurring issue, and I know that we had asked the county and they were going to look at this issue, so I'm not sure if any one of you have any updates.
Thank you. Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair, and to Madam Catherine O'Neill. We have our, what do you call it, our public works section. We have, this matter has been brought to our attention, and it's something that it's something that it's kind of an ongoing thing that we're looking to review. As members of council are aware that we have reduced the speed limits in the area. That's kind of one end for safety. The traffic impact study has recommended that there be improvements to Lyle, or recommended improvements to Lyle and County Road 2 for about 2038. However, this was brought to our manager, potential manager of public works attention, and it is something that will be ongoing. What I would also recommend as well too is that we do have, like, say, our email, a transportation kind of department email, that if in terms of for, like, say, safety matters or any sort of safety addressing anything along County Road 2, that members of the public can reach out to our staff to see if they can kind of maybe expedite any sort of review on safety matters along County Road 2.
Anybody else have a question?
I do. This means through your mayor, Councilor O'Neill, when our public works manager is up later, please ask that question, because he's been working with the public works manager of the county. And I know that they're looking at some work on County Road 2 for sure, which my understanding was to happen next year, but I don't know where things are with respect to that. I would suggest, though, a kind of 2038 is probably a little bit too far away, and we need to do something along with it. Thank you.
I've been reminded by the clerk that if you really should, if you're gonna ask that question, you should be asked now, because what Stefan is here for is something entirely different. You won't be able to discuss that.
I apologize, Mayor, I was just following your lead. And if Stefan wants to speak to that and you'll permit him, then by all means.
I think it's relevant to the question regarding this. So, Stefan, if you have a comment that can answer that question, go ahead.
So through you, Chair, I've just had some brief discussions, just more or less preliminary for the project that would be taking place. It's my understanding is it's more or less just trying to figure out a designer. We've had some very brief discussions and what they're considering there, but nothing has really been brought forward as concrete. So it's my understanding, even with the county, like I said, they're tentatively planning for this project, but they're more or less just in the process of securing a designer.
Thank you, Mr. Van. I have one, and then I'll let you pass it on to you. I'm gonna ask, staff if we can have experts, I'm concerned about those schools, that's what I'm most concerned about. If we can avoid construction traffic through there, I think we should be doing that. There are 2 or 3 alternatives, and I would suggest that we have someone, an expert in, transportation, look at that. Go ahead.
Through the chair, we did put a condition of approval in that the construction management plan will have to identify the construction routes, and the construction routes will have to avoid the community safety zones. That would be reviewed through the detailed design work. We do retain engineering consultants to assist with our review. And we could, if we had traffic related concerns with the route that they select, we could ask for the traffic reviewer to comment on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
Through your worship, I was just asking if, Stefan, while he was up here to save him coming back and forth, could answer the question then that was asked at the start about Benlock. Upgrading that to make it, and what kind of upgrades it would need to make it acceptable to construction traffic.
Good point, that's relevant. Make a comment, I appreciate it.
So you through your chair, unfortunately, I'm just not, I don't have the information in front of me, they put the platform with what the road currently looks like. So at this moment in time, I don't know if I would be able to really comment on what would be required for the upgrades of the roads. If I,
Go ahead.
If I may add through the chair, the route that was proposed is outside of the limits of the property. So it wouldn't have been subjected to the traffic studies and the environmental work. I believe there's quite a few wetlands likely in that area that would require environmental work to be looked at in order to upgrade a road. I know there's concerns with floodplains. Floodplain mapping is quite out of date in the area. So I think those are considerations that would be quite intensive to review and outside of the scope of the proposed development. I just wanted to offer those thoughts up for council to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor O'Neill.
I think I just heard that we were going to avoid the community safety zones. And if we're not looking at one of these other options we've been discussing, how can they get there, period?
Go ahead.
Through the chair, there are other roads that go around the community safety zone. There's Purdy Road will be upgraded through the limits of the development. I'm just gonna pull up a minute here. Oh, my computer shut down, sorry. So there could be opportunities to look at Purdy Road and Factory Road, over to Brimley. So there's multiple roads that could be looked at to bypass the school site that are already in a local standard. There's also conditions in the proposed draft conditions that secure for any damages that may be done to roads that are utilized for the development. So if the existing roads are used and the trucks happen to damage those roads, then we can work with the developer through the conditions on the ultimate subdivision agreement to correct any of those issues.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none. So the resolution reads that it is recommended the Council of Corporation of the Township of Allen Sullivan enact as follows: that council endorse report PLN 2025-58 and it be forwarded to Northumberland County Land Use Planning as the Township of Allen Sullivan's response and proposed conditions of draft plan of subdivision file D12AH2301. 285249 Ontario Incorporated for Fidelity Homes. Did I get a mover in a second? Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question about this. So our public works manager said that he didn't know at this point, but I would at some point like to know whether that's a viable alternative or not. So I'm just looking at that. If it's better in the long term to come down Brimley and along through Purdy into the property, or would upgrading this actually make sense? And it does somewhat tie into our official plan review that's coming up later in this meeting as well. So we've got a few balls in the air, but at this point, I guess my question is, if we approve this, is that the end of this discussion about the entrance, or will this continue to be an ongoing discussion?
But my answer to that would be that staff would advise that they will be going after the best possible route to get to there, avoiding the schools.
So can I just clarify? Would that, to Mr. Schneiderman's thing, do we need to direct and say that we are okay with an investigation of the opening of the old dam worth that kilometer?
Go ahead.
Through the chair, I believe you would have to add a specific condition to that. That would likely add more study requirements and costs to the developer and could possibly open us up to being challenged at the OLT. Thank you.
You have your hand up, go ahead.
I'm not, my position is that we're doing that immediately. I just want to get in my own head a sense of whether or not that's even a potential option. And then what do we do from there? I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm always saying, well, is there room to work on this, is my question.
Through the chair, I think maybe we can ask if it's appropriate to ask the developer's consultant if they would be willing to look at that. Because I think we need to be mindful of potential challenges and the costs that go along with that as well. Thank you.
Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Section or item number 55 does capture, I believe, everything that municipality wishes to be captured in that. The construction management plan has to go through the municipality for review. They have to be satisfied. It has to avoid the schools. And that is all captured in item 55. If you want something beyond that wording, to the effect perhaps of give consideration to, alternate routes, just some room for flexibility.
And that seems a reasonable thing for
Not pitting anybody into,
Right,
anything,
right, not exactly
any
what
route to the east, but give consideration.
Okay, I would be pleased with that.
I got a motion on the floor. All in favor, go ahead.
Still discussion on that motion. So getting back to the construction management plan that gets signed later, does that come before council and we get to discuss what staff is negotiating with Fidelity? Or like Councillor O'Neill said, is that it? Once we vote for this staff is gonna decide what? Because there's been some valid points made and I agree with you. What I'd like to do is make a motion after this that our staff members step in, look into this to say at least the option of the Benlock, what is it? What are the challenges? Because it's easy to say, oh, the blah, 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 we don't know. Maybe it's not that much money to upgrade this road or whatever, and it makes it at least a viable option, because I know the planner, you were saying, well, it's outside of but Purdy and Brimley and all of them, they're outside of this construction zone too. So I just want as a councillor to know what are the options, and maybe it comes back that Stefan says to upgrade that road, it's gonna be $1 million, and it's like, okay, so that one's out. But at least we need to consider it as an option. If we're looking at Purdy and everything else, Benlock is a viable option that could. So I guess my question was to get back to the construction management plan. That's negotiated later where they're going to use. Does that come back to council for final approval?
Go ahead, Madam Planner.
Through the chair, construction management plans are typically dealt with through the engineering detailed design review and secured for in the subdivision agreement, but typically doesn't get negotiated through council. It's reviewed by our peer review engineers and the county's engineers, and it usually from technical expertise that is looked at. If council is looking for that to come back, I would expect they would have to ask for that to be done. Thank you.
Well, so just clarification again, you said, I don't want to be involved in the negotiations. I want to be involved in when it's finally negotiated, that comes back to council for a final vote on that. Or once it's negotiated, that's it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I would expect if it's been negotiated, then there's not room for change. So if you're looking to have feedback on the final route, it would have to be done before we finalize the agreement.
Do you have a comment on that, Ashley?
Mr. Chair, no, I concur.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
I'd like to make an amendment that we add in section 55 that we give consideration to other options. A nice open-ended statement, but it gives room for both parties to look at it.
I think perhaps if that's you gotta be a little bit more specific. Otherwise, there's all kinds of different ways to might get an idea of coming out.
Correct. And that's why I want to leave it open-ended there, is that it's not confining us, it's not making us alter overall the intent of what is already in this agreement. It is simply to give a little more room for movement within this agreement.
Okay. I will make a comment just so everybody's aware.
We would need a seconder.
I'll second that.
Okay. What is your motion?
That in section 55, new language to the effect of, we give consideration to alternate routes.
Could you specify that at least the two that we know,
I think it's a benefit to leave it open-ended, is my personal, if that's not the intent, then it will need to be a different amendment, but I want to leave it open-ended.
Go ahead.
Can I make some suggested changes to the wording?
That would be appreciated.
That council is to review the construction management route prior to finalizing the subdivision agreement.
Comment?
Sorry, that is not the intent of my amendment. The intent is to allow other options to be on the table, including the one that Mike mentioned of the unassumed road off number 2 there opposite Cherry Hill. And as our presenters today did, to upgrade that, kilometer of Old Danforth and coming in from the other direction. So just looking and saying, these are other options that could be considered and not tying anyone's hands.
Go ahead, Ben.
So the suggested wording would be that council review potential options for the construction management route prior to finalizing the agreement.
I may be misunderstanding it. Would I be able to ask questions through to the, representative, Carolyn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, you're the one who's gonna have to work within this, and that we're attempting to work with you guys on this. And you're the one who sort of, and I picked up on what you said and said, that's a great idea. Can
What's your
you give us some direction on that?
Good question.
Can you please give us some direction in language?
Okay. Again, I go back to item 55, there's a word to capture really everything, even though it doesn't say, we'll give consideration to, the routes that we had discussed earlier in the meeting. It really is, I guess, kind of insinuated in 55, because all options are really on the table at this point. The primary thing is to avoid the school zones. So we don't have a construction management strategy at this time. It comes later as part of detailed design, and it has to be approved by municipal staff. So really, all options are on the table.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just have section 55 in front of me, so I'm just, so you're saying it's already open-ended and already what's been brought forward today can be included in the discussion?
Yes.
Thank you. Then I will withdraw my amendment.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
So just for clarification, with the withdrawal of that amendment, does that mean though, whatever is talked about in that section, and is that coming back to council, or is that going to be decided without the final route that they're gonna use? Because I'm okay with you looking at everything, and if somebody comes back to me and says that the Councillor Mike's suggestion doesn't work because it is, and Benlock doesn't work because of this, and this is why we chose this, that's fine, but I just don't want it being decided and then council gets no more input on this.
I think we can specify that. We not.
Yeah, through the chair, we typically don't report back on those types of items, so council is wanting a report that provides a description on what the options were that we looked at and the rationale as to why the ultimate route was selected, then that could be an information report. If that's what you would like to make a recommendation, that we do so when it's sorted out.
So I'd like to make that amendment to add to this, exactly what the planner said, that a staff report come back with.
Before we move on, we have a motion that was made, and we have to, it was seconded, so we have to,
Sorry, I withdrew that motion.
yep. Yes, please.
Sorry, through Mr. Mayor, as a matter of procedure, if the motion is seconded, then we have to get general consent from all members at the table. So if it hadn't been seconded, you could have withdrawn it at any point, right? So it's just a matter of procedure to keep it clean for the record.
So you've withdrawn your motion? Is everybody on, do we need a mover and second to do that? General consent, you're okay with that, Mike? You okay with that? Okay, the motion is officially dropped. Now, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion for an amendment to this, exactly what the planner said, is that this is, after staff with Fidelity and that investigates all of the avenues of how they're gonna be there, that report come back to staff. For the reasons why they selected whatever entrance they're gonna use.
Should you have a comment?
Thank you very much, through you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to get clarification for myself as well too. Is the intent related to construction management plan, or is it for a new road or potential new road options, or both?
Go ahead.
Well, I think I can answer partly, as we've had citizens come to us concerned with where they're gonna enter and exit for construction. And I just wanna make sure that us as councilors get to see the reasoning why ultimately you picked it. I'm not saying to build a road, or I'm not saying what you sort of have in mind right now is wrong. I just think it's fair to the public to say, this is the reason why we selected whatever route it be. And I know there's been 3, 4 different ones mentioned, that's fine, but I need something as a councillor to say, this is the reason we chose this path. So
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. So is there a motion on the floor?
that's the motion I made, was what Tracy said.
Yes.
Through Mr. Mayor, just as a matter of clarity for our senior planner and county staff, would it be a motion to amend at this point, or are we looking to defer the report for more information to come back, just seeking clarity on planning process here?
I think that they could add a recommendation that when the construction management plan is, prepared, that we identify the route options.
And that come back to council.
And that, that staff report back to council on the route options upon completion of the construction management plan.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ashley, you have a comment?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. And I just wanted to also clarify for council here is that by making just an amendment to the recommendation, it will still allow the developer to still maintain and work on their conditions of draft approval, which that could still take some time. That typically take at least a year to do. So we still have some time to review that in the interim. So I just wanted to just add on to what Tracy said.
Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, it's been moved by Greg. We need a seconder. Seconded by Council Ainsworth. Okay, now we're gonna get clarification that this is what you want, Councilor Booth.
Yeah. So through you, Mr. Mayor, so going with what our senior planner has just said, what the recommendation could be, just for clarity to make sure that we're all on the same page. That the motion be amended to include a recommendation that staff report back to council on proposed routes when construction management plan is finalized. Is that?
It's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Moved by Councilor Booth, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. All in favor? That's carried. We're not quite done yet.
I was still got that.
Yes, please.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, so you had your motion to amend, that was carried. So the motion as amended now reads that council endorses report PLN 2025-58 and it be forwarded to Northumberland County Land Use Planning as the Township of Alma Alderman's response and proposed conditions of draft plan subdivision file D12AH2301. 2852459 Ontario Inc. Valley Homes, and that staff report back to council on proposed routes when the construction management plan is finalized. So I have that initially moved by Councillor Booth and seconded by Councillor Ainsworth.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you for your presentation. But you're not finished yet. Okay, we're gonna move on to 9.2, which is the official plan update and zoning bylaw review. You have the floor.
Thank you through the chair. I heard the report. If there's any questions, I welcome them now.
Thank you. Councilor O'Neill.
I find it an interesting report to come forward and right after our discussion we've just had about growth and development within draft. And then I know that I made a notice of motion and we're waiting for, we deferred at that point. And it hasn't been brought back with her suggestions. And I know that, council has already given some suggestions of things around housing that they would like to see considered in the official plan. And my question at this point is what documents or what, reports and directions from council would be provided as to the person preparing this report for us?
Go ahead.
Thank you through the chair. We would, any of the background work that's been done for the township over the years would be provided. So like there's the parks, management plan, the traffic safety report, work on the housing, work that the housing task force has done. Obviously provincial policy direction would have to be considered, and the work that the county is, finalizing on their official plan will have to be implemented through the work on our official plan and zoning bylaw, or potential community planning is done. So they'll have to consider all of the technical documents that we can gather up and provide to them. They may also be aware of other documents that they would like to look at. If we do any background work, I will, likely, we have to figure out budgeting, but there may be opportunities for, doing some floodplain updating. We'll have to consider that through the budget ask. There's some funding available. I think that will help inform better what lands are constrained, especially in the potential development areas in Grafton. I know there's a lot of wetlands that can be associated with floodplains. There's water courses that run through the area, and the mapping hasn't been updated since the 70s. So, there's a lot of background information that needs to be looked at and considered to come up with a comprehensive plan.
Really, comment?
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled that all of what you are saying and what is in your written report with regard to changing and incorporating, making sure there's full alignment between our official plan and our future zoning. And I'm sorry, I don't have right in front of me. You recommended something better than a zoning bylaw that gives us more space, which seems like the right direction. I'm very supportive of everything there. So my question is, what work do we as council need to do? Would it be helpful if, as individuals or as a unit, we looked at our current official plan and identified what we think is great? Let's keep that there, and what areas we want. And I know that.
Councilor O'Neill, it sounds to me like you're debating. You're not asking a question, and that's what the purpose.
Sorry, my question is, what would be helpful for us as council to do? I was providing some examples.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with you. I'm saying that we should be discussing that amongst council. You're asking for council's input.
Sorry.
Are you not?
No, I'm asking in her professional view, are there things that, so she gave us a very comprehensive list of things that already
So your
exist.
question is, should council be involved in information from council, correct?
Basically, are there other pieces of information she needs from council?
Thank you.
Through the chair at this time, I don't believe so. I did propose that when we ask for the RFP that the consultant prepare a work plan, and they may perhaps want to have like interviews with counselors to get their feedback as to what they feel should be incorporated in the official plan. There's usually a pretty thorough engagement process when we're dealing with official plans. So not only the public, but I would expect council would be involved in the engagement aspect of the official plan as well.
And council approves.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Lobo, to our planner. Tracy, how long do you expect this to take, this sort of process?
It's really hard to gauge at this point, because I have, proposed that the zoning component be looked at the same time. I worked on a very large zoning bylaw project in the past, and there was a lot of challenges where, the official plan was done. And I don't think people realize that the policies have impact on the regulations. So I think it's would be helpful to look at both in tandem. It likely wouldn't be that they could both be approved at the same time because the official plan has to be approved by council. Then it has to go to the county for approval and ultimately the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. I was speaking with a colleague, at Crammy who worked in Prince Edward County, and they had recently completed an official plan update and it took 2 years. So they can be lengthy processes, and the province just released a bill last week. I can't remember what they called it. It's kind of hard to keep track, but one of the items was looking at official plans for consistency. So I'm wondering what they may be coming out with in terms of direction on how we need to have our official plan crafted. So that'll be interesting to see in the coming months, hopefully quickly. Thank you.
You can follow up, Mayor?
Yes, Mayor Lowell, Tracy, thanks for bringing this forward to us. It's an exciting time and a scary time at the township, when we're looking at the growth that is gonna be coming in, so it's such an important part of the puzzle and how everything fits together, so then thank you for everything that you've done to get this to where we're looking at, an RFQ, no RFP.
Right.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor. So this is actually really important for me. Yeah, you know, we've had multiple discussions about our official plan and how things should be changed with all the new policies that are coming out. So I just want to thank Tracy for getting this on the go. I have all the faith in the world in our staff that this is going to be done right. We have one chance to do it, and I think it's renewed every 5 years or 10 years.
I think it depends on whether it's an update or an entirely new document. So if it's an entirely new document, it's 10 years. If it's an update, it has to be done every 5 years. So I think we'll wait to see what the work plan comes out. That would be reported back to council. So that'll kind of set us up for what we need to do. And you never know how many more changes come out at the provincial level that need to be incorporated. So it's like a living document, essentially.
Mayor, looking forward to the follow-up. Yes, just looking forward to council's input on the official plan, and glad to see it going through the line.
Thank you. I'll read the resolution and then we'll proceed. The council received report PLN 2025 for information, and the staff be authorized to prepare and issue a request for proposal for an official plan and zoning bylaw review. Mover second. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Further discussion? Go ahead.
There was a question about cost. Do we have enough to do this, or do we have to let staff come back to us if we need more money to finish the plan? I know we have an account for it, but is that enough?
Well, if I read the report properly, it may not be enough, and they'll be looking at that for the 2026 budget if they have to put any money.
Through the chair, I would expect that it's not going to be enough to complete both an official plan and the zoning bylaw review. With the ask for the work plan, I think that will give us the information we need to see how much we're going to need to ask for. I would expect we could probably ask the consultant to prepare it in phases so that we will, know how much we can complete with the funds that we currently have, and then subsequent budgets next year and the year after. If we need to ask for more, then we'll be in a position of knowing better what the ultimate costs are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah. All in favor? That's carried. We'll move on to planning bylaws. And the first one is bylaw 82025, zoning bylaw amendment Z 112025, part of lot 23, concession 1 in Alderman. And everybody should have already seen the resolution. So I'll ask for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Bylaw 812025, executed development agreement. for 7156 County Road 18. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth. Seconder. Deputy Mayor Stover, any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. The next one is bylaws number 822025, execute a development agreement with 5135 Macklin Road. Are you a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, second by Councillor Booth. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Next, we have, we have someone coming on for our next presentation that's gonna be virtually, so we need to get them hooked up, so let's take 10 minutes and we'll be back in, 11 p.m. 11 a.m.
Emily has the version. Okay.
Okay, members of council, we're ready to get back to it, and, next on the agenda is a presentation. And it's regarding our financial department review. And I believe we have Jen Haynes and Ramaz Karim. Hope that's close to right. But I appreciate you being here this morning, and I'm gonna pass the meeting over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor Vogel. Good morning. I'm Jen Hayes, a partner at MNP, and appreciate the time today to review the project we're working on with the finance department to do a review of the processes, organization, and technology. Today, we're presenting our current state report, which incorporates our findings and some opportunities that may be considered for the future. I'm joined today by Ray Macari, who's the project manager on the team. And so between us, we'll be running through a few slides with an opportunity for questions at the end. I don't know how to move to the next slide here. Oh, there we go. So today, talk a little bit about the engagement objectives and the project that we're working on, the approach that we've been taking as we've moved through this project to date, a summary of our current state, and some of the emerging opportunities, and then next steps to take us to the end of the project. And then, as I said, we'll have the opportunity for questions at the end of our presentation. So in terms of the objectives of the, so next slide, here we go. So background of the project. So we were invited in through the town to do a review of the finance department. So as part of our project, we look at a variety of things: the organization, the people that are working there, the skills, the team, the technology, and the ensuring appropriate controls in the project or in the department, as well as the efficiency of the processes overall. So in short, the outcomes of this project are really to provide some recommendations for go forward to ensure that the finance department is working along best practice in terms of the people, process, and technology. And we'll support that with a implementation plan to ensure that, that there are opportunities for efficiency within the department. Next slide. So we're moving through a five-phase project. First phase was the project initiation, where we just aligned on scope of work, set the project foundation in terms of timeline and milestones and deliverables and whatnot, an engagement plan. And then the next phase, which we've completed, is the current state. We've taken the opportunity to have interviews with a number of team members to understand the work that's being done, documented processes, and validated all of those, resulting in the current state report, which is what we'll be reviewing today. Following this, we'll be looking to the future state to address any of the opportunities and challenges and gaps that we identify in the current state. Create a final report, which will be presented to council. So you'll see us again in a little bit. And then finally, we'll be providing some interim treasurer support to the town to help them through some of the gaps and implementation of the findings. Next slide. So in terms of the current state approach and methodology, so there were multifaceted in terms of understanding the current operations. We had process workshops, so we were on site twice over the course of the current state report development to really understand how the department works, how the technology works, how the work is being done, and documented the processes associated with the finance department. We've developed process narratives for each of the in-scope processes. Ryan will be running through some of this with you in a little bit, but we've documented all of the narratives for the processes to really ensure that we understand how the work is being done and where the challenges lie. And then we also did some document review. So we looked at reports, at other documents that were in hand. And based on the findings that we had with these three sort of inputs, we developed the current state report, which we have validated with the department. Next slide. So the framework that we look at really looks at sort of the holistic view of the department. We're looking at the people, so responsibilities that people have, whether the skill sets are there, whether there's the capacity to do the work that needs to be done, ensuring that leverage, the right people are doing the right jobs. So ensuring that resources are being used effectively. So that's one lens we use. We also look at the process and the efficiency of the process. So is there duplication of work? Are things sitting too long before they're being worked on? Is there redundancy? How can the process be done more effectively, more efficiently, and are the controls are in place? And finally, the technology. So how is the technology being used? Is it meeting needs? Is it, are systems disparate? How is the technology being leveraged, and is it being leveraged to its full potential, or is it out of date? So we work with a lot of municipalities across Ontario and across the country, quite frankly, on these types of projects. So we sort of map what we see within any organization against best practice that we see in other municipalities. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Rima to move through the findings for the current state.
Okay. Thank you, Jen. So as part of our the current state themes,
we can't hear you, Rima.
Oops. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, perfect.
Yes, I hear you.
Sorry, technology, right? Sometimes doesn't work. So as part of our, as Jen mentioned, that as part of our current state themes, to be able to come up with these, we actually conducted workshops and process analysis. And those showed several consistent themes that emerged across the finance department. These aren't necessarily isolated issues. They reflect underlying structural challenges that influence how effectively the township can manage its finances and deliver services. So starting off with the first three, the first one over here is your key person risk. So a major recurring theme is the reliance on one or two individuals who carry a significant amount of operational and institutional knowledge. In small organizations, that's often unavoidable, but it also means that when those individuals are away or transition out, day-to-day financial activities slow down or become more error-prone. This concentration of knowledge creates vulnerability around continuity, accuracy, and compliance. Moving forward, a key focus would be developing cross-training, written documentations, and succession strategies so that operations are resilient regardless of who is in the roles. The second one over here that we have is lack of formal documentation and institutional knowledge. So right now, most processes function based on staff experience rather than standardized written procedures. That means new employees often learn through observation or trial error. It works for keeping the lights on, but it makes onboarding inconsistent and increases the risk that tasks are performed differently by different people. So formalizing procedures, even through concise process maps or checklists, which is kind of what we're doing as part of our review, putting together the narrative, kind of helps with preserving institutional knowledge and maintain consistency as staff change over time. Then your third one over here is your limited financial software integration. So the township's core financial system, Keystone, doesn't integrate smoothly with other departmental tools such as ActiveNet or FirePro. As a result, staff spend significant time manually exporting, reconciling, and verifying data between systems. These manual workarounds increase workload, reduce timelines, and limit the township's ability to produce real-time data-driven insights. Improving integration or exploring automation opportunities will be a key area to support more efficient reporting and decision-making. Can you move over to the next slide? So there's two more themes here. Continuing from our last slide, the next two themes focus on succession and service delivery, both of which affect long-term stability and community experience. So lack of succession planning. Given turnover in the treasurer position and limited documentation of key finance processes, the township faces elevated continuity risk. If someone were to leave suddenly, critical functions like budget preparation or financial reporting could be disrupted. There's currently no formal succession or transition plan outlining who steps in, what access they need, or how knowledge is transferred. For a small municipality, even a short-term vacancy can have ripple effects from delayed reporting to audit findings. So developing a more formalized succession and cross-coverage plan will help ensure seamless transitions and build organizational resilience. The fifth theme that we've seen is limited resident digital self-service. So residents currently rely heavily on manual interactions, phone calls, emails, or in-person visits to handle property tax inquiries, payments, or service requests. This is time-consuming both for residents and for staff, who spend much of their day responding to routine questions. A self-service digital portal will allow residents to view balances, submit forms, and make payments online. That would not only enhance convenience and transparency for residents, but also free up staff capacity for higher value tasks such as analysis, forecasting, and process improvement. Together with these two themes, succession and digital service speak to the township's ability to maintain service quality, even as roles, technologies, and community expectations evolve. Moving over to slide 11. Okay. So the final two themes relate to governance and capacity, which underpin the finance department's overall control environment and sustainability. Lack of segregation of duties. With a small finance team, it's common for one person to perform multiple steps in a transaction. For example, preparing, posting, and approving the journal entry. While staff are diligent, this lack of segregation introduces your inherent risks and reduces oversight. In practical terms, it means there are limited internal checks to catch errors or irregularities early. As part of the future design, we'll outline practical suggestions and options that would include a rotating review responsibilities or leveraging technology-based approvals that can strengthen the controls without increasing headcount. Then you've got your number 7, which is the last theme that we saw, limited staff capacity and retention challenges. Finally, the department operates with very limited bench strength, workload peaks during budget, audit preparation, or year-end, stretch resources thin, leaving a little time for process improvement or any sort of professional development. Frequent turnover, particularly in the treasurer role, further compounds this challenge by resetting progress. Building capacity will require a balanced approach, reviewing workload distribution, investing in training, and ensuring the treasurer position is positioned for long-term stability. This will also support the township's ability to deliver timely, reliable, and transparent financial information to council and the community. Together, these 7 themes provide a clear picture of where the township stands today. They highlight what's working, dedicated staff, and functional processes, but also where modernization and structural change will have the greatest impact. These observations form the foundation for the emerging opportunities we'll discuss next, which will guide the design of the future state model. Next slide, please. So the one after, thank you. So building on the themes we discussed, MNP has distilled 5 key opportunities that can transform the finance department from a reactive manual environment into a more proactive strategic partner for council and the community. One is strengthen the governance and role clarity. Define clear accountabilities across finance, administration, and council to ensure decision-making, reporting lines. This includes formalizing treasurer mandates, approval authorities, and delegation structures, digitizing and automation for paper-based and manual processes. There is an opportunity to reduce paper-heavy and time-intensive manual processes with automated digital solutions, and this would allow workflow bottlenecks or value-added time to be spent on routine activities and overall help the overall efficiency. Align technologies with finance needs. So there is an opportunity to modernize and integrate digital solutions to enable seamless data flows, help develop a self-service portal for residents to improve service delivery, develop a succession plan and invest in staff retention. There is an opportunity to establish a succession plan and competitive hiring strategy to support the stability and continuity of financial operations, especially for the treasurer role, while proactively mitigating the risk of knowledge loss due to staff turnover or retirement, and then also workforce development and resilience. There is an opportunity to upskill staff and provide exposure to different processes, reduce dependency on key individuals, and build a capacity to handle and complete tasks. So I think that's essentially what our emerging opportunities are. Moving over to our next step slides. So with the current phase complete, we're now moving into phase 3, future state design, and here's what to expect. We'd be validating the treasurer role and organizational structure. We'll hold work sessions with senior management to confirm duties, reporting relationships, and control responsibilities, design and improved process flows and control points with each core financial cycle, budgeting, payables, receivables, payroll, reporting. We'll have a future state workflow or process narrative showing who does what, when, and how automation or controls can strengthen reliability. Develop the recommendations and implementation roadmap. The final report will group actions in short, medium, and long-term priorities with estimated timelines, required resources, and performance indicators. And then also we'll be presenting to the final report to council. So we'll return with a concise summary highlighting cost neutral, quick wins, governance improvements, and long-term investments needed to sustain townships' growth. Our goal is to ensure the township's finance department is well documented, well staffed, and well positioned to meet both compliance expectations and community service demands. I think our next slide is questions. So yeah, that concludes our presentation. On behalf of MNP, I want to thank the council and township staff for their openness and collaboration throughout this review. We really appreciate all the time that the finance team has spent with us to understand the processes, to understand the procedures in place, the roles, responsibilities, the technology. And yeah, we'll open it up for questions or discuss any area you'd like us to focus on.
Okay, well, Jen and Ramaz, thank you very much for your presentation. I thought it was concise, but lots of information. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and I'll open it up to the other members of council, and we'll find out what's going. So early on in in your presentation, you mentioned 8 processes that I understand you went through and picked all the high points and discovered what was going on. Is that basically correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, how many processes would there be?
I think I would say, yeah, as part of our review, one of the other things we do like to look at, yes, there are processes identified as part of RFPs, but we also look at in comparison to the financial statements and kind of do a line by line review to see what are your key processes, right? What has the most, I would say, financial impact. I mean, I'm a CPA by profession, so I look at numbers first, and then I kind of go down the process route. So I would say all your key processes have been covered as part of this review. So there's your payroll, there's expenses, any funding, reserves, you name it. We went through it pretty much line by line to understand what the process is, who does what controls are in place.
Thank you. My second question is regarding best practices. I always find those interesting, and obviously you've gone and seen in other municipalities where they're doing good things, and that's what you're going to suggest that we do. Are you dealing with municipalities our size, or are they all over the place?
We do. So I would say we do a mix of municipalities. So in the last little bit between me and Jen, we've worked on actually quite a few projects of similar size municipalities. So if we're finding any best practices for you, it's going to be for, in comparison to other municipalities your size.
And you see lots of opportunities?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
Thank you for this report. We very much needed to receive this. We've had a lot of challenges, not the least of which is having 7 different people sitting in the role of treasurer in the last 7 years, and many of them as interim treasurers. So that's definitely a challenge for us, and I hope you have some solutions for us as we move forward. I have 2 specific questions. The first is, and it may be true to our mayor or CAO rather than you, but how does this work coordinate with the study that the county commissioned to look at ways for there to be shared services in the financial departments?
Go ahead, Dave.
To your mayor, Councillor O'Neill, and the rest of the council. So this was a conversation that we had at the CAO's table, probably last spring. The only conversation that was had with respect to shared services was the potential of sharing software moving to the future. But in the late part of the summer, we received news that we weren't to wait for the county, that we should just move forward.
Thank you,
Okay, and my second is, do you have any short-term capacity to give us more support or suggestions to get through this year's budget process?
Yes, I think as part of this engagement, there's the phase 5, which is interim treasurer support, right? In that we actually do provide a team member who's well-versed, knows accounting, knows the finance processes. We give them the information and the knowledge that we've gathered from our work sessions and interviews and reviews, and we prep them. And then they're the ones who are going to essentially be part of the finance team and help out, make things a bit more efficient, make it move things along, get things done, right? Get it to completion. And we've done that in the past with other municipalities as well. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that answer and knowing that we are going to have that level of support.
Deputy Mayor Stover, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Vogel, to the ladies. How long do you expect it take till you get to phase 5?
Actually, we plan on, based on the current timelines we've actually started working on, the future state. So I think that should be in the next month or so, we'll be, wrapping that up and getting that presentation ready. And then shortly after, I think phase 5 would start. Because, usually our phases, I mean, we do split it up. We'll have design the future state, which is your phase 3, and then doing phase 4, but they kind of go hand in hand for us, because when we're designing the future state, we start preparing our final presentation too. So I would say in the next month or month and a half, we would be looking to wrap up and starting phase 5. So.
Follow up, Deputy Mayor?
And another question is when you, the Keystone software that we have is, I can see that again, that it is proven to be a little bit not helping us get all the software we need from a program. I guess one of my trying to formulate this question. Will you have a list of software that would be a good fit for us? And again, I don't expect an answer for this, but this I think is going to be a pretty big budget item for us.
So as part of our final report, we do provide solutions, and we give options. As an example, one option would be you continue to do what you do with certain efficiencies, but you may need to add another person. Another solution can be, kind of certain pieces you can outsource to different teams. And then the third one is essentially just rejigging the entire system, is what I would say. If you do, I think I would say we give more high level solutions for you to think about at that point. And then when you're ready, as an example, you say, okay, we want to scrap Keystone and move over to another system. At that point, we'll start engaging and start doing software review, software selection questions. That kind of starts coming into play, and to ensure that you're set up for success. I think the ultimate goal from our end will always be that. So based on what path you decide to take, we'll be able to provide you solutions on that. But we do recommend some that we've seen municipalities use in terms of softwares that our teams have worked with as well. So we might make some of those recommendations as part of the third solution.
Thank you.
Mike, go ahead.
To you, Mayor. Great to see this. Thanks, staff, for bringing this out to us. Multiple good things in this here, and I have a couple just quick little questions. So for instance, we talked about putting a process together to get residents' emails and stuff and online services, like what we're talking about here. Is there something that we could start ahead of time before the final report? Have some small wins and get our residents on board with some stuff. And I guess that was the biggest one there, just because I know we've talked about it in different meetings about that. So just in general for that.
You have a comment?
Sorry, I can answer that. So yeah, I think when we're talking, when we've gone through this exercise of what the gaps or the concerns that we've seen, some of the quick wins are we can do some sort of work session with the finance team to kind of identify those so they can start implementing them. But if some of the ones that need a bit more, I would say, technology, or as an example, you need an additional person to kind of help out in that particular treasurer role, then I think that might take a bit more time. But because I would say a lot of the themes that we saw were around, there was too much sitting on one person to do, right? So for that, I think the solution to that would be more so the assistance, the interim treasurer piece that we'd be helping out with. And we're just trying to kind of narrow that down while we get the future state ready as well. That's where it can help out. But I think beyond that, in terms of controls and processes, those are just conversations we can have with the finance team to kind of, get those in play.
One thought, I'm kind of carrying on from what you were saying, Mike, and I was paying attention when I was to your presentation, but I was thinking a little bit too, and it's about the old cliche of, my office door is always open. And I'm gonna have to kind of think a little bit different, because that can take an awful lot of time for everyone, the staff. And if you're getting out the information that they're looking for, as you're suggesting, Mike, then you don't have to do that. And probably if I sit on resident shoes, they don't want to spend all that time either. If they can get the information that's handy, it just makes sense. Go ahead.
Yes, I completely agree with what you're saying.
Any Mike or Councilor, nothing? Okay. Well, Ramaz and Jen, thank you very much for your presentation. Well thought out, and we look forward to seeing the final and seeing that again as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll read the resolution. The council received the financial department review, the current state report by MNP for information. Mover to second. Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Booth. Further discussion? Go ahead. Tell you,
Mayor, I just wonder, will we get a report after every step, or we'll just get a report now? Just for the final?
CAO.
Through you, Mayor Logo, they will report back the future state. That's the next report to you. Hopefully you'll have that next month.
Thank you.
All in favor? Motion's carried. And next, we're gonna go on to the Grafton Well project. Updates and
I'm Tony, I'm with Beer Galley.
Tony?
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
Well,
Where are you from?
Beer Galloway.
Ben, you want to start us off on your report? If there's anything you have to add, or?
Yeah, so for the most part, everything's in there. I can give a quick summary. So, in July, we closed the tender for the proposed works, for the well. Upon that, it came to our, attention that there was this was a significant archaeological site, in the past. So we're pretty well just here to summarize what's happening with the project, what we've encountered, and to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, I can, I'll add that they completed the stage 2 work or the field work, Thursday and Friday last week. There were some findings, unfortunately. So that's I'm told by the archaeologists that that's gonna trigger further work. And realistically, that's not gonna happen until next spring. So there's gonna be a pretty significant delay to your project. I've done a few things kind of since then, to just check in with your funding people to make sure that that's not gonna have an impact on your, because your completion date is supposed to be October of next year for the funding agreement. So that's the official completion date, but he was very reassuring that can be modified. He said that'll come out this winter, so we'll take care of that when it comes out. We'll work with you guys to make sure that.
So they start the ball rolling, and then they'll ask us where we sit, and then you'll be able to respond to that.
Correct. He said there's nothing official yet, but they'll be contacting all townships or municipalities with outstanding projects to see what they need for a completion date.
Okay,
That's not official yet, but he said that was gonna happen.
thank you. Councilor Booth.
Through you, your worship, I guess a question. Since you were saying that it's not gonna affect the funding, is that just the provincial? What about the federal funding? Because there's two revenue streams coming in here, one from the federal government and one from the provincial. And I wanna make sure that, you know, we're talking millions of dollars here, that if this archaeological thing is gonna delay it so that we don't get the funding, these Grafton well people are gonna be on the hook for some big money. So does that include the federal portion too?
I'll have to confirm that. It was my assumption that it did, but I didn't ask that specific.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's a good question to answer. I expect the province gives, pardon me, the best give it to the province and the province passes it on, but I agree with Councilor Booth. Let's make sure we know what we're thinking. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor. A couple, I just wondered if we could have some background on that property. Why it's such an archaeological interest, and because, I mean, if it was done in 1995, what was the process then? And then also, it looked like you have it, that you thought about moving the line over to another area, and that was also in the area of interest. And is there any other proposal to go around it, because it is quite significant delay for our water.
Yes, I can speak to that. Started with the original project. I'm not exactly sure of the timing, but when they were on site, they actually dug up. There were barriers on the site that they discovered as they were trying to put in one of the water mains to one of the wells, well number 2. I'm not entirely clear on the like what work was done prior to that and what was done after that, but there was a significant study done at that time. A bunch of, or a major portion of the site was cleared, so that's when they do the full stage 4 excavation. They remove everything, they catalog it, and they do a report. So that was the entire basically paved area of the building, and with the building included, and then the route to well number 2. We weren't aware of any of this, you know, prior to undertaking this job. So yeah, it came to our attention that when they put in well number 2, that the contractor, one of the contractors who actually bid on your new project was involved in that. So that they had to, you know, call the police, and that shut the job down entirely at that time. Body was exhumed, and the study was completed, and then they were allowed to put that in the line to that well. And in our case now, our original concept was to follow that original route, and then it kind of veer off from there to the new well, which is not that far away from that route. That well number 2, it's within 100 meters of that. So the problem is that because the existing route is like a known burial site, the archaeologists work with the ministry, and they don't want us to go anywhere near that. They want us to stay away from that. So we selected the next, what we thought was kind of the least obtrusive route. So we went through the building, like the building and parking lot site, just the edge of the parking lot, where that had been previously cleared in the previous study, because we thought that would be safe. And then we followed the access road that runs from the big communication tower down to the new well. And that's what we're trying to clear now. Unfortunately, we tried to stay as far away as we could from the existing site, but they still found fragments, thank you, on that road. So that's gonna trigger a further study, unfortunately. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
So, through you, Mayor. So we had different options out there now for locating stuff in the ground without it. You know, the ground penetrating radar stuff.
Yeah.
Is there an opportunity to maybe have something like that come in and just kind of go over everything so you can kind of see where things are? And then kind of plot your route then?
I actually thought about that. I think any way you do it, you're still gonna have to do the archaeology on that route. So
But it would find everything that's there.
it would find, I'm not sure exactly what they can find. It could find like presumably bodies if they were there.
I don't know how much that would
Either
cost.
way, we're gonna have to click that, yeah, I don't know either. Either way, we're still gonna have to go through that archaeological process to dig everything up. So I think the ministry has a protocol that they, and First Nations, that they, stick to. And we have to adhere to that. So I think either way, you're still gonna have to do this archaeological where they go in and they remove everything and sift it all and catalog it. Like even if we did the GPR, the ground penetrating radar, I think that would still have to be done.
I don't know the history. You mentioned the parking lot and everything else, so you're probably talking to the fire hall and everything, are you?
Yeah, I don't know how far exactly they went over. I have it on a drawing somewhere, just in the top of my head. It was a significant site. Apparently it was like from 800 to 1200 AD was a pretty significant settlement. And it was kind of well documented and cataloged before. Unfortunately, they only went so far, right? They didn't go any further. They didn't go to where we need to go.
And might be a good idea to follow up on what Mike is suggesting.
I can ask.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. However, just a thought, Mike, if they happen to find something other than a body, they're still gonna wanna clean it up. Is that correct? Just for history studies and that type of stuff?
Absolutely, you're stuck having to do the archaeology, yeah. I guess if you see, they're not, in my opinion, they're not finding like, I shouldn't say that. They're not finding great big things like that would be really obvious. They find little bits of pottery and things that some people might not consider to be significant. But that still triggers the further work. So what we were hoping was they found nothing on this route that we took. And then they can clear it. So that's the stage 2. They go in and do little test bits at certain intervals. And then if they don't find anything, you should be good to go. And they engaged the Alderville First Nations. They sent down a representative to witness that. But unfortunately, they did find a few things. And that triggers this, what they call stage 4, where they dig it all up. But it doesn't matter what route you take. And even if you did the GPR first, you're still gonna have to go back and like actually sift everything out. Because they wouldn't find much, I don't think, with the GPR. Well, they might find stuff, but they wouldn't find all the things that they're looking for. It wouldn't have that sort of sense of truth.
Well, this story is interesting both from a history perspective and an engineering perspective. But I do have a question about if there were a problem at well 1, do we have any options, or what's our strategy if there's a problem at well 1, which was the reason we were building well 2 in the first place?
Yeah. It's not a great solution. You've actually had 2 wells, right, that are hooked up. You have well number 1 and well number 2, and this is well number 3 that's going in. Well number 1 is still active and it's attached, but it's got an ammonia problem. So you'd probably end up on some sort of boiled water advisory if they had to rely on that solely. I don't know if they can treat, they might be able to treat for it as well, but yeah, you would be out of water, but Lucy would have to do, additional, step through additional hoops to be able to use that. And I'm sorry, I'm not exactly sure what they would have to do to, like, if it's still potable. So there is still water. It's not great water, which is why you were looking for a new well. They don't normally use it.
My recollection is, it was ammonia was the issue.
Yeah.
From organic, some organic.
Yes.
And you could treat the ammonia with something, but that would make, the other well, they had to treat them both. and that would hurt the other well.
Yeah, I think it's got something to do, I believe it's related to the disinfection you're exactly right. And, I think the ammonia, changes the free chlorine over to total chlorine. So it changes the secondary disinfection process that you're using. It's called chloramination instead of chlorination. It's not, and yet you can't have one well in one system and one in the other, because it's in the distribution system that you have to convert it before that. So it's not ideal, but I think in an emergency, they could probably get an approval to run that, but it's not good. It's no way, it's a good
We
situation.
kind of took a real quick look at it several years ago about, piping it in from Coburn, which was, astronomical amount of money. And the other alternative is to haul the water from Coburn.
Right.
Which they don't have a pumping station anymore, I don't believe, but that was very expensive too.
It's very unfortunate because the new well that was dug or drilled is it's very good quality water, similar to your well number 2. We're just not allowed to connect it quite yet. And some part.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Lobo. Right now, we're on stage 2, archaeological dig, and I would take it that's because of what you're finding.
Yeah, stage 1 is where they do a desktop review and
Yeah.
figure out if anything was in the area. You were already there. Stage 2 is when they go in and test fit it at an interval, and they actually screen it all out. Nobody get down this far and certain bits, they screen it all, look for little shards of stuff. So then if they find anything there, I don't know what exactly the difference between a stage 3 and a stage 4, but a stage 4 is when they totally excavate everything, screen it all out, down to this kind of depth, and then catalog it and report it. And that's what you move to after this.
Kind of jump from 2 to 4 here.
Yeah.
Look at it 3, so that, all we can do is hope that we stay at a stage 2.
No, you're done stage 2. You're gonna have to do stage 4, and that's the end of the process. Stage 4 is when they remove it. That's the worst case you're doing it. You're gonna end up doing that, yeah.
All right, I'm just reading, should artifacts be discovered during the stage 2 assessment, further archaeological work, stage 4 may be required.
Yeah.
So that is at the risk assessment financial part of it, so that's what I was kind of looking at, so we're already there.
Correct.
After last Thursday, there.
Yeah, Thursday, right? We did, there wasn't this had been submitted, and then they were saying, this got the feedback yesterday, actually.
Why not? Okay, all right,
It's kind of not complete.
we're there.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
So just for some clarification, the report was actually written prior to the archaeologist going out in the field. We've now received that information back, which is Tony has communicated to you.
Thank you.
Mike, you have a question?
So you Mayor, a couple of questions. One, could we put a line above in insulation? And second, because this is so significant, and it's actually a little bit of a threat to our township if something happens to our water system, we can't hook up this new well. I wonder if we should be getting the province and the ministers going.
Oh, yeah.
So right now, there's no well pump in, that was part of the tender. So you'd have to proceed with the tender work with the exception of the buried infrastructure. And then you could, there is a way to hook it up over land, yes. Winter, that would not be ideal, as you recognize.
We could insulate, right?
You could heat it and insulate it above ground. Might be a conversation to have Lucy involved in as well, to see what would happen if you actually lost. If you lost well 2,
Yeah.
what would, can they work with well 1? Or are you done, right? And then if you're not comfortable with that situation, then that'd be something to look into. Yes, it could be done.
I believe, Mayor, that this is much more than just the archaeological assessment. This is like a bit of a threat to the township and the water.
Well, we can certainly go after, water and clean water people and this, that, and the other thing. They might have an opinion with it. Or are they gonna stay out of it?
The archaeological people have a lot of clout anymore.
Yes. We know that. Go ahead, Councilor Neal.
I think as council, we have to remember that's a risk level we've been operating on for the entirety of our term on council. That's been our situation. Nothing that is in this report changes our current situation. We just have hoped to get that better. And it looks like it's gonna take us a while longer. Having said that, I think before we jump too far ahead, this is the kind of conversation we should be having with our neighbors in Alderville and with the chief in Alderville and say, here's our situation at this point. Where are we? Are there, solutions or opportunities that you see that might help us? I think that's where our conversation needs to start.
Brendan, thoughts? I don't think we're gonna solve everything here today. So I'm going to suggest that we approve the report as submitted. And, look for updates.
Yeah, that's a good point, Steph, if I might add. So the tender did close in July. We have, the low bidder is Peak Engineering and Construction. They're a local firm. They actually did the original construction. Very good firm. Pricing was really good. So, I think Steph and I could make a recommendation to award that tender. And we could bring that forward at the next meeting, like we could do a written recommendation. Reason for that is at some point that road is gonna get cleared, but you're gonna end up hooking up that well. So if you were to award that now, it would lock in some pricing. They could order stuff like well pumps, the things that you need ultimately to connect, right? And then, yeah, if there were any material costs, like the commodity type things that, the cost of PVC pipe goes way up or something due to an oil short. I'm just making that things up, but commodity based things that needed to be adjusted later that they could justify, we easily do that. So, and tender, you're not gonna, like, if we cancel the tender and then re-tender it next year, you're certainly not gonna save money on that. So I think, like, we would like to make that recommendation to bring it to you at the next meeting.
I think that's a great idea. Can you just tell me how long the pipe is?
175 meters roughly.
Not just chicken feed.
Wow, it's not that far, like, it's pretty close to the well, it's a good,
Yeah, like, so basically what, would they take a strip out 10 feet wide for that 175 meters, or is that basically what you're looking at?
Yeah, the archaeologists go wider than that, cause when we're going through there, we're gonna disturb. I'd say more like 25, 30 feet wide. So they'll do a strip like that, and then there might even be an additional setback, but yeah, it's something like that, archaeology wise, you're asking about, yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, no, they're pretty significant. Now, it's not, I haven't seen the report, obviously, they've not done a report. They may not have to do the entire area, because they didn't find stuff in the entire area. There might be, lots that they can avoid doing. I'm not sure yet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I think it's a great idea if you could update us in the near future of what you find.
Okay.
I would appreciate it. I'm just gonna move this here. So, the council received report PW 2025 15-18 Grafton Well project status update for information. Mover and seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor O'Neill. Any further discussions? All in favor? Carried. Tony, thank you very much for your coming up and giving Steph a hand. You could have done it yourself, but you always look for help.
He had it handled, but thank you.
Take care.
Okay, we're gonna move on now to notice of motion. And, I'm not gonna read all of that, but basically, you've made aware of that. Uh. Yeah. Please.
Mr. Mayor, this was a recommendation that, the committee of the whole made to council. Pass a separate motion to have it come forward at this committee or at this council meeting, instead of waiting for the regular session at the beginning of November. So it's come forward, in order to expedite the process from committee of the whole. So it was originally moved. The original recommendation from committee of the whole is written as you see there in front of you and on the screen. And it was originally moved by, Deputy Mayor Stover and seconded by Councillor Ainsworth.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments? Councilor O'Neill.
Question for you, Mayor Lobo, to our CAO. When can we expect that staff will report back to council with a detailed financing and implementation plan?
Go ahead, CEO.
I apologize, I thought I answered that last meeting. So council has put together a fundraising team that is going to fundraise for this. The interim treasurer and myself can put together some documentation to bring back to council to identify how we're going to fund it based on the donations that we've received and what exactly it is we need to fund. At this point, the entire project is 3.75 million, but we don't know exactly how much our fundraising committee has been able to organize or will be able to organize. So the exact funding amount remains unknown. For us to go forward and debenture the 3.75 million would be futile at this point because we don't know what that number is going to be. We do know that we are out with having new policies created for a development fund. We know that funding will be able to come from there. We know that we have some reserves. There's a lot of moving parts with respect to the actual amount that we would need to receive. So,
And that'll come back to council before we proceed.
we would have to. The reason why this came to council was so that we could at least go forward with an RFP to try to get shovel ready, because our understanding is if we don't do this, it will delay the project again for another year. So with respect to transparency, we will still need to come to council to identify how this will exactly be funded, but we need more information.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Lobo, to our CAO. Just as I'm listening, Dave, to you say that, a few of us are heading to Roma. Would we possibly have any figures or a strategy in place to appear in front of the minister for funding for some of this project?
I would suggest that applying for a delegation as staff have already discussed would be the smart thing to do.
Okay. Do you need a motion for that or just go ahead and do it?
No.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
I am concerned that this project could trigger other costs. I know our manager of parks did identify that there may be soil mitigation costs. I know this council has received in the past that the electrical system needs to be updated. So are we, like, what is our plan for potential other costs in this moving forward?
My understanding is that, and I don't know to be exact, but that 3.75 includes stuff like what you mentioned.
Contingency.
Pardon me?
A contingency.
Yeah.
Again, I'd like to see that in front of me, what that is, Mayor Lobo.
I think that's what we're gonna get. From staff. Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
Yeah, to you, Mayor. I mean, to me, it's pretty self-explanatory. We can beat to death and throw some negative stuff out, but I mean, worst scenario, you know, we get a loan for it. And, you know, I think the original plan for the fundraising committee was to raise $5 million. You know, this project is set for 3.75. So there's, if we, you know, over the next couple of years, if we end up raising $5 million, we're in really good shape. So, I believe that just for some comments too, that this fundraising is going to spark, vitality in the municipality. I think this is long overdue for something like this to happen. Bring this municipality together and get people involved and have some real nice events down around that ball diamond in the summertime and in the spring. And we've got multiple residents that'll probably jump on board and help us out. I have no negative thoughts about how this is gonna go and how it's gonna end. I think this is just gonna be good for the whole township as a whole to be able to put this project together and make this happen for the residents. So, short of anything, we get a debenture to pay for it. And short of anything, the fundraising committee just keeps raising to pay it back.
Thank you. I'll read the resolution. The staff report back to council with a detailed financing. I have to make a smile. I have to read a little bit more than I was planning. Now therefore be resolved that the committee of the whole recommend the council authorize the municipal staff to initiate the design build process for an arena floor replacement and structural inspection project with an anticipated start date of as soon as possible. And I'd better read that. That the county authorized staff to secure up to 3.75 million in funding through a combination of debenture financing, municipal loans, capital reserves, development charges, grants and donations, and sale of surplus land as appropriate and in accordance with municipal finance policies and practice, and that staff continue to engage with the Hull Memorial Arena and Recreation Complex fundraising ad hoc committee to explore funding opportunities for repayment of the loan or reserve fund replenishment, and that the staff report back to council with a detailed financial and implementation plan prior to starting the tender process for the arena for replacement and structural inspection project. Mover and second. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stolberg. Further comments? Those in favor? The motion is carried.
Mayor Noble,
Yes.
I did vote in favor of that, and I want to note that it says that we will be receiving the report prior to starting the tender process.
That's what I read specifically.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor.
Yes.
I need clarity on that.
What do you mean clarity on?
So Councillor O'Neill raises a point. And that is before starting the tendering process. So that would mean that this project is on hold until staff comes back with a financial plan. So that means our hands are tied as staff. We cannot begin the RFP process because that is a tendering process. So this project is currently held up based on motion. Thank you.
Okay. How long was it gonna take to do that?
Mayor, as described to council before, there are several moving parts to this. We don't know. I'm not going to repeat because it's recorded and on camera. So I have stated all of the information with respect to this. There's too many moving parts to comment on that at this time and give you an absolute conclusive plan. If council feels they need a conclusive plan, staff will need to go to work and get that done. But that work won't begin until the fundraising committee has had a chance to raise some funds so that we know exactly what it is that we're planning on.
Go ahead, Mike.
So Mayor, the intent of this whole thing was to get this project on the go. I don't think anybody here is saying that's not gonna happen. You know, as far as I can, we just voted to make sure that it's gonna happen. The financing part is there for us. Like I say, short of going to get the debenture, if we had to just do that, but there's multiple areas there we can pull from. And to hold it up any longer is just ridiculous. if I misunderstood the motion, then, you know, I apologize for that, but my whole intent with even bringing this back today was because of time constraints to getting this on the go. So we need to give staff the okay to get the RFPs out there and get this thing on the go. This thing needs to get done. No more hiccups. We've had enough.
Thank you.
So if I need to make a motion to let staff get the RFPs going, you know. Well, yeah, I don't think we need to wait for them to come back for the funding. We know they can find the money. I mean, bringing it back, to me, it's just another stall tactic.
Well, that's what it brings, so.
Well, then we need to amend it or add another motion here to fix that.
We can do that. Go ahead, Councilor Bruce.
I agree with what you're saying, Mike. I took it as being that starting the tender process was when they were just about to put the tender out. The detailed financing and implementation, all I would like to see is exactly like you said, Councilor Ainsworth. If we didn't raise any money, how much is, what's our plan for 3.75? If we raised 100,000 or $1 million or whatever it is, just something to show us that this is the worst case scenario and this is the best thing. If the fundraising committee raises the whole thing, great, we don't have to. What's the worst case scenario? Show us that. I don't think this motion was intended to say to Dave and his staff, don't start the process at all. Somebody in the background right now should be researching and getting the RFP ready and stuff like that. And my thing was, just before you put the RFP out there, that you come back to us to show us, this is what we've done. This is, because then you can go to the fundraising committee and say, listen, if your goal is 5 million, that's great. If you only raise 2, this is what it shows that we have to do, and it gives them some incentive to. So I agree with you. I don't want to stall it either, not for something that, to me, the detailed financial thing is just showing us where we're gonna stand if we don't raise them. But I still believe staff should be proceeding with the process of, before you post it, right? It's gonna take a while for somebody to look at that and say exactly what we need.
I concur with Councillor Booth that both processes can be happening simultaneously. But, if we do not have that and to prove that a debenture, which, you know, we do have room to borrow money, but that is a 2% increase to every single taxpayer, every resident here to our tax bill. So we need to have that discussion. Is that what we are prepared to do?
For you, Mayor, so maybe some clarification from the clerk where we are right now. You know, whether we need a motion to continue for this, for staff to be able to get the RFP out and get some schools back in and get the legwork done there. Because I believe that we can answer Councilor Booth's answer while we're getting the wheels in motion. Right? Because I think that money thing is gonna come back to us, you know, A or B.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Lobo. We've already, have decided we're going here, so we are putting out an RFP. We're not reneging on that. What, I'm just trying to think, it's this last, sentence here that's kind of got us jiggered up.
Well, we've already got a motion,
Yeah.
That is approved.
Aspect, yeah.
so in order to be considering anything else, we need a motion. Go ahead.
Just a comment, and you're correct, Deputy Mayor, it's the last sentence, but it says an implementation prior to starting the tender process. Maybe we should have said prior to posting the RFP. I don't know, because I'm hoping that this can, like Mary Catherine said, we can be doing the RFP process behind right now to get going, and the same as the financial report, and let's keep going. We don't want to waste it, right? So is it easy just to make a motion then to say that we change that to prior to posting the tender?
Okay, I'm gonna ask the clerk to comment on that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think we're making this more complicated than it needs to be right now. So council has made the motion. Right now, we're currently debating something that's not even on the floor. So what we will do is, staff will bring the report back to council with a detailed financial plan, basically putting in writing what Dave has already provided to you verbally, as well as the implementation plan. We can run that simultaneously while we're developing the RFP, and provide council with those options. Nothing will get posted as part of the process until we bring that report back. If we need to, we will call a special meeting in order to help speed things along. But at this point, if you're looking to make a change to the decision you've already made, you will need to make a motion to reconsider, as a matter of procedure to get it back on the floor to make any amendments. But at this point, and in the interest of time, I would just let staff let us proceed as directed in the previous motion as it was just passed. And we will get you the needed information based on the direction and the conversations you had.
Would that be available for our first meeting in November?
Through your mayor, if the clerk, suggests it's time sensitive, and we can do that, we will. Yep, but that'll, as of today, that's a 2-week delay, just so that you're aware. Okay.
Comments? Go ahead, Mike. I'd like to make a motion. Yep. What's your motion?
The motion would be to allow staff to proceed with the RFP and the planning of their repurposing of the arena. Shovel ready, on or before April 1st.
Okay. Can we just do that?
Do you need to massage it?
Okay. I could try to explain, with permission, I can try to explain this a different way. So the arena project has been on the desks of the councils and staff to try to get this project done. Any which way from Sunday, try to get it done. We've gone around in circles on this for the last 3 years and got it to a point where we seem to have some agreement with council that we replace the floor, the boards, and the glass. And so now we need to get that done. We can come back to council with a report on the financials of what if and pie in the sky. We know that the outside is 3.75. We get that. We know that you have agreed to and established a fundraising committee. And we assume that there's going to be some good monies raised that will pay for this project. So if we were to consider this looking at what's our outside risk? Our outside risk is that we raise no money, and this is going to cost the township 3.75. So I could sit here today and say to you, we're gonna have to borrow 3.75. And do we have the room and capacity to do so? The answer is yes, we do. Is that going to add to our budget? Are we going to have to find other efficiencies to help with this endeavor through our budget processes? Absolutely. But I am saying to you that the risk, outside risk is 3.75, as it has been reported to us. If I knew the value of X, and I don't, being that what the fundraising committee will raise, which maybe it's $1.5 million, and maybe I bring a report back to you that says that we need to borrow the remaining money. But what I'm saying is irrelevant of what it is that is coming back to you in a report. The project's starting point and needing to get done is irrelevant to that. Because you need to get this done now if you want to start in April. That's been reported to you. So if you, as a council, want this for your community, you need to push the big green button. Staff's job is to make it happen for you. And that's what we're committed to do. Whether it's 3.75, whether it's 2, whether it's none, we're committed. So I then take that back to you, Mayor. It's up to you guys to give us direction. We'll run to the hills for you, 100%, but it's up to you. It's not us.
So I guess, if I may, Councilor Inter. So with your motion, is there any other wording that needs to go into the motion? For massaging?
No.
Okay. As per the clerk in our procedural bylaw, we've already made a decision. In order to reject that decision, we needed 2/3 vote by council after a mover and a seconder has made to amend. Like that. So if we got a motion to amend, or reconsider, then we'll take a vote, see if we get 2/3 to reconsider. Moved by Mike, seconded by the deputy mayor. Any further discussion? Go ahead.
So just clarity, if we reject this, which I have no problem with, what's our alternative? What are we changing it to then?
That'll be the next
Then
step.
we'll make a new motion.
That's what I mean. So what's your intent of a new motion? Because I liked what the clerk said before, which is just let staff run with it. They know that they should be starting the tender process and just come back to us at the same time. So I don't see it delaying anything. If you say, starting today, whatever staff Dave decides is gonna work on this, start working on the RFP. And somebody look at coming back to us with, it sounds pretty simple what Dave said, just put it in a report to say, if you raise nothing, it's this, if you raise everything, it's this, that's it. I just think, like the clerk said, we're making too much out of it to say, I just believe it's let them run with it.
So I think the wording that might hang us up here is, prior to starting the tender process.
We're jumping way ahead.
Yeah, but
Are we gonna reconsider? That's what the question is. We've got a motion on the floor that says this is what we're going to do. In order to reconsider, we have to vote. We've got a mover and a seconder, moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover, to reconsider. We have 2/3 of vote in favor. I'm gonna put the question to you. All in favor of reconsider? Okay, that's carried. Oh. Okay,
Point of order, that isn't 2/3, that's 3/6.
okay, so the motion that's on the floor is right. Moving on.
so now we need one.
No, we're moving on. Supposed to. We're moving on, we already approved it.
To amend the motion.
No, we didn't approve to amend the motion, so the motion stays the same as it was. That we approved. Way back, which is basically what this said. Correct?
Yeah.
No, we didn't. Yeah, okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, for a 2/3 vote in the council of 5. Majority vote is 3, which is 60%. 2/3 vote, which is 66%, requires us to have 4 members of the council vote.
Oh,
in
all
favor.
right, well.
So what did it stand? Right?
The mayor, can we just verify where we are right now after all this conversation?
Yes.
Thank you.
We are right at this motion set. We're right back to where we started.
So staff can carry on with the RFP as it.
That's what the motion stated. Okay.
And yes, can you please have our clerk repeat the motion, the one that was passed?
Very good. The staff report back to council with the detailed financial and implementation plan prior to starting the tender process.
Thank you. Put it on.
Fourteen one. non-union pay equity and compensation review 2025 RFP award. Aaron? Any comments regarding the report?
Nope, I think it was pretty straightforward. We've had this conversation through past council meetings. That it was to go third party and then it was put in the budget for 2025 this year.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Just a comment, pleased to see that we have received so many bids. That's nice to see. And if you could remind me, how many staff does this, project encompass?
It's not staff, it's positions, and I believe it's 13 positions.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I thought it was pretty simple, straightforward. Mover and seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any further discussions? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next one is the HR temporary support staff. You're gonna handle this one too?
Yes, I will. So this is just coming out of, from last year as well. This position was actually already approved. So it's already on our wage grid. This is just looking to backfill some of the, payroll items so that I can move forward with budget items and other finance, information that the council has just brought forward to be able to support the council in, the arena items as well as, the 2026 budget, and just taking a little bit of workload off that I cannot keep up with it.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor Booth?
Through your worship, just a quick question, Aaron. Would this position be eligible for benefits too, or is it no a contract position? There's no benefits, right?
No, there's no benefits as it's a 6-month contract.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
Would you consider, or does this, include the potential that we're contracting from a company that specializes in short-term, HR and payroll support to small businesses, for example?
If they apply for the position.
Sorry. Should I ask?
You can ask the question here.
If, is that like a normal practice that somebody who's a subcontractor would do that? Or how do we get it so that they would realize that that's something we would be considering?
There's the two ways. A lot of them are independent. So if they wanted to take on another contract, it would kind of be an hourly pay as well. If we wanted to do it for an actual payroll company, depending on the funds, I would have to go to an RFP service to do it, to cover the 6 months. Possible.
Can I ask a question? The last time we did this, we had the person work for a month. Basically, and then decided there was not an opportunity. Is there any way we can make it so that, there's a bonus at the end?
That's totally up to council, but, I wouldn't recommend it because then you'd have to look at all your contracts about offering bonuses at the end, so.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All, the mover and seconder. By Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. Further discussion? Go ahead.
I'm wondering if it wouldn't be worthwhile, because I too, how do we get this? This is a short-term position, we go through a hiring process. It's, you know, from the employee's point of view, they're not real keen on these really short-term jobs. They're always looking for that permanent job. And so I'm wondering if it wouldn't be worthwhile to do the RFP process as well as a job hiring process to see if something comes forward, because I think that some of these businesses that already specialize in ensuring that someone's available might be better suited to our needs.
When we go to the contract, can we specify the person we want to keep them there for 6 months?
I would have to look into that information. I do not have it.
Okay. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I think that, we should just leave it with Aaron to sort through this. This is, when we're getting into that, we're getting into operations and not the governance. So, and, you know, by the time you do an RFP, go through the process, I think, Aaron has come to us saying that she needs the help now and not, go through that process.
I agree with you 100%, and I agree that she needs help. Because it's very, very busy. We're just trying to make sure that we're getting the best person. Very happy with your hand up.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going. I'm actually attempting to ensure she gets help, because I'm afraid that, as did happen before, this wasn't a success when we attempted to do it once before through hiring, and that this would be an opportunity to ensure that we're getting support rather than the other way around.
Other comments? Go ahead, Councilor Root.
I guess through you, your worship, my comment would be, I would like to let Erin, do the interview process first, and then if she finds that there's no qualified candidates or there's nobody out there, then she could come back to us and say she's recommending go to the RFP, which is then open it up to a company or somebody to come in. But there could be qualified people out there now, and that'll be the quicker way, because this sounds like you want to have somebody in November, not January, right? And if we have to do the RFP and everything else, it could lead to that, so. Just my.
Okay, thank you. Anybody got to make a motion?
Yeah.
We already done the motion. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Good evening. Great Pine Ridge Snowmobile Association Memorandum of Understanding. I think it's pretty clear, everything was there. Does anybody have any questions? I guess you didn't. Go ahead with your comment.
My question is regarding the use. It's saying here clearly where the map trail is, and it would be my position that we want to have our snowmobile users on the approved maintained trail. And that's my question, is how do we achieve that?
Do you have a problem? Overachieve that. People on the trail. My understanding of the question. So right there, got it?
Right, but this follows up, and I know that Councillor Ainsworth had said he was gonna be providing us some information about, liability on the NATV trails outside of, during the winter months. So, but at this point, from a liability point of view, I think it behooves us to have a way to say, this is where the trail is, stay on the trail, use the approved trail. It's going to be maintained, it's going to be safe. That's where you should be riding.
Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
To you, Mayor. One of the highway traffic act. Snowmobile right down that county road, right in town. They could do it right now, if they want to. There's no jurisdiction to stop snowmobiles staying on that trail. People leave their home, come to those trails. When you get on the green trail, you have to see promote, stay on the trail. But what Councilor O'Neill was talking about is that there's a much bigger rule that talks about some, even more than for what ATVs are. So under the snowmobile act, they can literally go wherever they want. Right, there's no jurisdiction to stop them on county roads, municipal roads, on road. They just use those to get to the green trails. Now, don't get me wrong, no one wants to run down County Road 23, but they can if they want to. So, the question about keeping them on the trail, yes. When the trails are groomed and they're on the groomed trails, stay on the trail. Don't be running into farmers' fields and don't be running down private property because you see a nice puff of snow or something. Stay on the groomed trail.
So. Do we want to put a note of, is that what we're suggesting, we put it?
Well, I just think it's redundant even to talk about, because it's a much bigger picture than that little map that's seen there, right?
Okay, any other comments? Go ahead, Councilor Root.
Just a quick question, maybe clarification, and maybe Councilor Ainsworth can tell me or somebody else. I'm just looking at the map and it talks about 608, which says it's closed, removed from it, a bunch of purple there. The one that's showing 608 there, can you tell me what that actually is? What, is that the one that is off of 22 from the restaurant that cuts down, you know, into Stevens Road too, that comes out at Community Center Road?
Yeah.
So that's not on the.
Yeah. So that's Nelson Road. And then it goes to private roads and some unassigned roads, private property, and then comes out of that.
Community
I
Center
think the
Road.
stream where it comes out to in Waltham.
Okay, thank you.
So we've only got a motion on here, correct? Okay, thank you. So it was moved by Councilor Ainsworth and seconded by Councilor O'Neill that the clerk be authorized to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Grapevine Ridge Snowmobile Association for the 2025-2026 session. Can I get a mover and seconder?
We always have.
Oh, we already got it. Any other comments? Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
Having listened to the discussion, I think maybe it would be beneficial then if, through our communications channels, we let, the general public know that we have this memorandum of understanding. These are the trails. They will be groomed for you. Go out and have fun, that kind of a communication strategy on this MOU. So I don't think we need to have anything added to the motion, but I would like to know that we will be communicating this, especially given that we are, some trail areas are being removed, and I think that's, if you've been used to using that space, to realize that it's not, there isn't an agreement for that space this year.
Go ahead, Mike.
To you, Mayor. So for Councilor O'Neill, this little picture is a pin needle to what the actual trail system is. So the OFSC has an act that has 7,000 kilometers of trail. So this is just our little local stuff, and the OFSC is 60 years old. So everybody that has a snowmobile knows the rules, knows where to go, knows how to get there. And if you don't have a snowmobile, maybe you walk those trails in the winter time or something. But I'm just saying, to make it more convoluted is not what this MOU is for. I appreciate the fact, Councilor O'Neill's comment, but this whole program is, like I say, maybe more than 60 years old. Right? So there's a lot more to go on how to get it and the conduct of the yard, so.
Councillor O'Neill.
I appreciate that comment, and that maybe we should have a link to the greater system. I am a huge proponent of the trail system, and in fact, if you go back in time, Councillor Ainsworth, you'll find some great research stuff, papers written by none other than myself about, the implications for farmers of the benefits of a trail system. So anyway.
Thank you. I'm gonna call a vote. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Next one is Allen Public Library, board compensation. And, it is recommended the council receive the report CLK 2025-23, Allen McCullough Public Library Board composition for information, and the bylaw be brought forward to appoint the mayor, deputy mayor, or councillor to be the second council representative on the Allen McCullough Library Board as per bylaw 127-2021. Mover and a second. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. I believe this report was, put out by our clerk. Is there any questions or comments or updates to the report? Thank you. Comments? Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor, I guess my comment is like, okay, so where do we go from here to, you know, does some councilors want to, appoint, be appointed, or do we want to go on as a vote for voting?
Okay. Can you, have you got someone you'd like to nominate?
Well, I mean, I'll go on myself if no one else wants it, but, or if we need to have a vote on it, it's, you know, it's all a learning curve. I mean, yeah, right.
Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
I'd also be interested in it, obviously, with my background in library, but that wasn't my question. This, according to our compensation bylaw, is one of the committees. So when we've got some financial implications, putting a second person on here as it's written right now.
Thank you. I was gonna throw my name up there too.
Oh, very well, the library.
So how do we go about that? Go ahead.
I would support, Michael on that.
Okay. Councillor Booth.
And I would support Mayor Catherine going on it too, so I don't know where we go from here, how we.
Go ahead. Clerk, can you help us with this?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the motion was a blank motion. So what was moved was supposed to have the blank filled in. So Councillor Ainsworth, you did move it. That a bylaw be brought forward to appoint mayor / deputy mayor / councillor blank. So at this point, you would then, you should have, sorry, at that point, sorry, I didn't catch it sooner, appoint your nominee, then inform that you would nominate, and then council would be debating that, at which point you either carry or delete based on how it works.
Pardon me?
Fill in the blank.
Oh, yeah, so. Councilor Ranger, who would be the second council representative of the Allen Public Library, go. That's the bylaw 127-2021.
You got a second?
So that was, so just to be clear.
Yeah, Joe, do you support that?
Yeah, I'm supporting that.
Okay. Anybody got any comments on this? No comments? Go ahead, Mike.
To you, I have maybe some follow-up comments, is that Councilor Booth and I seem to work good together, and I think if there's if we can, work together on the library board, you know, we always talk about the MOU with council, getting that done, putting a partnership together with council, you know, we could work together to get that done. Just getting the library board and council working together, it's a big ticket item for us at budget time. And it seems like we just have no, you know, other than getting minutes, we don't know what's going on there. I think we need to be partners, you know, there are 3 of our buildings. And, you know, we need to be working together. And that hasn't happened, and we've asked for this for like, the very first budget we had, we asked for this to be working together, and it just hasn't happened, so I'm hoping that I can work with Councilor Root to bring all those fruits off the tree and make it happen, be a benefit to us for both.
Thank you. We'll update you a little bit. We've got information I've got information, I should say, that states that they are a separate board. We can work together, but they are a separate board and we do not control anything that they do. I'll just make that comment. Go ahead.
That would be through the Public Library Board Act, and that this is a separate board, and I don't think that's a secret. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mary Todd.
I think we have to be very, very clear about any of us sitting on that board. Who are we when we are sitting on that board? And if you are a member of that board, then you are sitting there working for the well-being of the library, not working for the well-being of the municipality. You are a board member who's made a commitment to working for the well-being of that board.
And that's no different than any other board. You've got to take off your hat and be part of that board.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, we've got a nomination on the floor. All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, bylaws. First one is bylaw number 83-2025, appointment of a councillor to the Township of Allen Alderman bylaw or Public Library Board.
Sorry, Mayor.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I think we should deal with the financial compensation piece of that appointment, please.
Okay, what do you want to give about?
That second position on the board will not be eligible for the financial compensation, because what we have right now is that you're eligible for one committee or board that you're appointed to. And since the selection would then have one member of council being paid beyond 2, he's already paid to be on Lower Trent. Either we switch and we're all paid for 2, or we maintain what we have, which is that each member is paid for 1.
Okay. We have a bylaw in, we'll see what it says. Mike, the comment?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Regardless of what our clerk comes up with, I mean, I didn't take the position on to be for the money. So this library thing, if I don't get paid, I'm fine with that, I'll do it volunteer. So it's not, without ruffling the feathers or anything else, it's, I'm fine with that.
We'll probably involve.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Just through you, your worship, and I agree with what Councillor Ings was saying. I would leave it up to the councillor to decide. If Mike is sitting on 2 committees, then he can decide which one he would like to be paid for, and it's up to him. So that's how I've always thought it would. None of us do it for the money, obviously. So I would leave it as Mr. Ainsworth can decide which one he wants to get paid for, effective, you know, starting in November, and that's it. We're only talking about 1 year, and then we're done.
I remember having this conversation, when Councillor O'Neill wanted to, have compensation for, another, other than the one that she had been appointed to. And I remember saying maybe she could, be paid for the Parks and Rec meeting that she attends. So I mean, we have had that discussion. The discussion came up then that we were only being paid for one. And so I don't think that it's, news to us. Thank you.
Councillor O'Neill.
I absolutely agree. I'm not raising this, but I know that we have had numerous examples come forward where people are like, well, it explicitly says here, so therefore, and the compensation does read that it is if you are a member of the library board. So you are in a position, perhaps doing it just by your goodwill is fine, but I mean, I think we have often been very, that's what it says, so therefore it is.
Go ahead. Bert.
Through Mr. Mayor.
Policy.
So bylaw number 06/2025 outlines compensation for council members. Section 5 says that the mayor shall appoint one member of council to each of the following boards and committees for which they may be compensated for in clause 4 above. This is a complete list, and it goes through to point heritage. This was of course amended, but the library board is on there, but it says that only one member will be compensated for participation on the board. My interpretation of that bylaw is any appointees above and beyond that to those identified committees and boards would not receive compensation above and beyond, but if you're.
I'm happy with the clerk's definition. So we want to discuss that any further. So regular pay, Mike, thank you for your contribution.
You can buy me a copy.
Yeah, lunch.
Picked up on my snowmobile and bring it in.
Yeah, there you go, guys.
Break down 23.
When I go by your house.
So we're moving on to bylaws. Bylaw number, should we jump the other one? Okay, bylaw number 83/2025, appointment of a counselor to the Township of Allen Sullivan Public Library Board. And the appointment, a counselor, to the board will be, we're going to appoint Mike, Ainsworth to be the second person on the library board. The bylaw 83/2025 being a bylaw to appoint Councillor Ainsworth to the Allen Sullivan Public Library Board, be given a first, second, and third reading and finally passed this 28th day of October 2025. Mover and second. Moved by Councillor Booth. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. There are no closed items today. Confirming bylaw 84/2025, being a bylaw 84/2025, confirming bylaw. Will you go all those? Can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? That's carried. Motion to adjourn that the municipal planning council meeting held on October 28th be adjourned at 12:47 p.m. Moving the seconder. Moved by Councilor O'Neill, second by Councilor Booth. All in favor? Motion is officially over. Please go home and watch hockey game tonight. Baseball game tonight.
That was.
Yeah, maybe.